Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be going over a Range Rover Sport, and this particular one is in the HSE dynamic trim package, which all you guys need to know is it has a supercharged 5-liter V8. So as always, a huge shout out and thank you to Land Rover Jaguar here in downtown Salt Lake for providing us with the Range Rover Sport. Check out their inventory in the link below. Let's get into the video. So under the hood of the Range Rover Sport, we have a supercharged 5-liter V8 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy 17 around town, then 22 on the highway, with power outputs being 518 horsepower and then 461 pound-feet of torque. Now before we go over everything on the front end, just want to show you guys the light function on this Range Rover Sport, so you can turn the lights on or off. And then also I just want to show you guys what the headlights look like. So now that the light is popped off, a couple elements that I really like. I actually like this little kind of like venting here at the top. I think it's a nice little look. And then I love just how like flat and broad the hood is. It just gives it this like nice like wide aggressive look, and just look how like massive the front end is. I mean, look at these smaller little Range Rovers and then just compare it. I mean, just like the front end size, it is just huge, super aggressive, and yeah, I think it's crazy. Now let's go over the side here on the Range Rover Sport. So 275mm tires on 22-inch rims in the front and in the rear as well. And you guys will notice that they kind of like have the fenders kind of like bulge out to kind of give it like sort of like a wide body look, which again, I think that looks fantastic. But coming down here, look at the size of the rotors here in the front. I mean, just crazy how massive they are. And even the calipers are massive. I love how they've painted them in red. And then you get this little like black axing here. It's not venting or anything, it's just completely for stylistic purposes. And then it's cool how they do the body line that goes straight across the entire Range Rover Sport. But here is your full side view of the Sport. Now here's the key fob that I showed you guys earlier. Again, it says Land Rover on the back. You do have a couple functions. You've got your unlock, your lock, and then obviously the function to open up the tailgate. Now coming into the rear of the Sport, you actually have a cargo cover that's already built in, so you slide it along the track when you do want to cover things. And then yes, you get a little 12-volt. Now this is pretty cool. It does have air suspension, so you can raise and lower just the rear, so you can like lower it down. Then it makes loading things up a whole lot easier. There is a spare tire underneath this, but you do have to use both hands to lift it up. It's actually pretty heavy. So yeah, there is a spare tire underneath that. But in terms of cargo space, I mean, the cargo area is actually really big just from a space capacity. And then they've got a button up here to press it so it'll pop back down. Now finishing things up in the rear, we've got the taillights on for a brief moment, and they do that cool like 3D effect. I think it's just kind of like a signature look for the taillights on the Range Rovers. But again, Range Rover on the back. And I notice this says P525, so I'm guessing that's 525 PS. And then obviously when you convert it to regular horsepower for us Americans, it's 518. Look at the exhaust tips down there. And you actually do get a receiver hitch there at the very bottom. But I like the design language here in the back. It kind of has this like nice like stealth look with the top of the roof, especially with the darker gray that this has. Now you actually can lock the rear with that little button right there. Now opening it up, here is the door panel in the back. You've got soft touch all throughout, which is really nice. And then you've got black stitching. Notice that if someone is in the blind spot, that'll illuminate before you open up the door, so that'll keep you nice and safe. I think it's just funny how they have like just all the speakers for the sound system. Now here are the seats in the back. Again, black stitching, so it's just black on black for the combination. And yeah, it actually has a really nice feel to it. Now I am going to pop in briefly. So stepping in, it's actually really easy to get in, and I'm 5'11", and I've got plenty of headroom back here. Now notice that you do have this little kind of like pocket on the back. Got some vents. Now this is why I have the car on, so you guys can see that basically I can push this so you can control the seats in the rear with this little function right here, which I think is pretty neat. So it is heated and cooled for the back, which I mean, I think that is crazy. Most cars don't even offer heated seats in the rear. Notice you do get a couple little areas where you can charge devices. And then we are going to pull this little armrest mechanism out. So you got a couple cup holders right here. You press that button, and then it's some extra storage for the rear passengers. But it's just interesting, like it pulls down the whole thing, and it's just kind of like you just rest your hand there very nicely. Now coming up to the front, you get that same keyless entry, and there is blind spot monitoring as well. Now fully opening up the front here, again, we've got all this soft touch. The door panel on the front is pretty much identical to the rear do get the memory seat controls on the side of the door there. And then here are the seats in the front of the Range Rover Sport. Very nicely bolstered, very soft to the touch as well. There's all your adjustments on the seats. And then here is the pedal layout down below at the bottom. This will open up the trunk for you. And then here's like the back side of the paddle shifters. But there's one more look before we pop in. Now to start it up, just press that and, ooh, yes. Get some V8 action in today's review. Here's our steering wheel in the Range Rover Sport. Now zooming in, we've got the cruise control here on the one side, and then you have the controls for like the center stack, your voice command phone controls. We've got really nice perforations here on the center, and then on the outside it's smoother leather. I think it's a nice little touch, and it just kind of like, it's cool. It's like broken up by that little line, but yeah, it's just like a nice feel for the steering wheel itself. And then you got those nice paddles on the back of the steering wheel to go through the gears yourself. Light controls on that side, and the other side is your windshield wiper stalk. Here's the little center screen. So over there you can see the speed, and then the RPMs are on the right side. And then here in the center, you guys have seen this in a bunch of other videos that I've done on the Range Rover brand, but it basically just gives you different bits of information. You can even see the VIN here from the little center stack. But yeah, just different bits of information on the car, pretty much anything that you could want to know. Now here's the center infotainment system. First off, we'll go over the camera system aspect of it. So this is what the backup camera itself looks like. So it's got those little trajectory lines. And then if we press this little button here on the side, that is just the camera button, does give you a couple other views basically outside of the Range Rover Sport. So it's a pretty good camera system. I think the resolution on it is great as well. Now for the rest of the infotainment system, I'm going to keep things pretty brief. You get a bunch of shortcuts here on the bottom of the infotainment system. And other than that, it's really good on a response time, and you actually can customize a couple things with it. So you can change the theme, so you can go to like a black theme if you want, and then you can even change the screen angle on the infotainment system. So overall, I think it's just a really good infotainment system unit. It looks really good, and that's all. Now this little screen's pretty cool. We're gonna go over the climate control section first. So you can actually press these little buttons in, and then that'll pop up like the ventilated seat, for example. So it's pretty cool. You can go to the controls, or I guess I should say the shortcuts up there, and then you do have a couple other functions at the bottom, but that's the climate portion. The more fun portion is the vehicle drive modes. And to actually change the drive modes, you do have to click this dial up, and that'll let you actually adjust the drive modes. Now you can just use this touchscreen to basically go through them, or you can use the dial to like twist between the modes. So I just twisted the dial. It's going to go over into eco, but if I press the screen, then it'll take me over into dynamic. And what's pretty cool is you can change your setup here in dynamic, so you can basically change different functions on what dynamic does when it is in dynamic setting. And I do have a couple other modes. So this is the grass and gravel, and then over here you've got the mud and ruts. This one is the sand mode right next to it, and then finally you've got the rock crawl mode. So yeah, it's just got a ton of different drive modes, a ton of different customizable options on the drive modes themselves. So yeah, it's pretty neat. And here's our shifter for that 8-speed automatic, and it's actually really easy to use. So you do have to press the button. So you press the button and go down, that'll put it into drive. Notice that if I just press it up, it'll put it into neutral. It won't go into reverse. I have to press the button again, that'll pop it into reverse. Now if I go down and then over, that'll pop it into the manual mode where I can shift the gears myself. What I think is pretty cool, if I press P to go into park, the shifter just goes back into place. A couple cup holders here, and then we've got like our off-road cruise control. You've got your stability control, and then these are the two buttons for the air suspension, and then the drive mode select again if you want to change the drive modes or just have an auto. And then you've got your hill descent control, and then your low gearing. So I mean, this has so much off-road tech. The center console is pretty neat. So you've got the top part of the center console, and you're like, well, why do you need that? If you lift this up, it also doubles as like a mini fridge, so you could just like store drinks in there, keep them cool, which I think is a really nice little touch. Now the glove box, you're going to be like fumbling around trying to find how to open it. Well, you got two buttons. So you got the lower glove box, then you got the upper glove box. So you have two glove boxes, and I mean, yeah, in terms of practicality and storage space, just massive. Top things are actually really simple. So you get a panoramic sunroof, you got the controls for the sunroof, some nice like black trim up here, and yeah, I mean, again, things are super simple up top. The window sticker here, so you've got the color, and again, I'm done trying to pronounce these color names because I just can't, but you guys can freeze this on any certain portion so you can see the exact options that this particular Range Rover Sport has. So notice that's the base MSRP, and then all of the options this has, those 22s are $2,400. That is pretty expensive for rims, but I mean, they do look pretty cool. But that'll being finished. Here's the total MSRP, $101,854. Let's take this Range Rover Sport out and see how she drives. Let's talk about visibility here in the Range Rover Sport before we set off. Visibility over the hood, even though the hood's massive, is actually really easy to see out of. I'm surprised by that. There's your visibility through both of the mirrors, and you guys will be pleasantly surprised, or not really surprised, but you guys will like the fact that there's a ton of visibility throughout the rear. I mean, the windows in this Range Rover Sport are massive. That all being said though, well, we've got to click it down. Let's set off. I'm setting off here in the Range Rover Sport HSE Dynamic, and the craziest thing to me is the fact that this isn't even like the top of the line Range Rover Sport. Like, there's another one that's more money, but more importantly, there's another one that has more power than this, and that's the crazy thing to think about. But initially setting off here, you get this like king of the road feel in this. Like, I talk about this all the time, where just kind of how you sit in a car and just how it makes you feel. This one definitely, you sit like really high up in the Range Rover, and it just, again, it gives you that like similar feel to what you have when you're in a big truck. Like, it just has that like nice, just, it's a really nice feel. And in terms of the ride quality, it's super smooth. Like, you don't feel a whole lot, and in terms of everything that comes into the cabin, the sound insulation is really solid. Like, everything about this is just super luxury. And again, that just like, if you love that like just big king of the road feel, this definitely gives you that with the seating position. Okay, now I've got to do what everyone wants me to do, and we're in the dynamic mode right now. And so I'm gonna have it just in the automatic mode. We're getting up to a little bit higher speed, so we'll see just kind of how it feels. Yeah, just with like a mild acceleration, I mean, it's good. Like, it gets up, it gears down really quickly in the automatic mode. And so if you just need to make like a quick little pass, I mean, guys, 518 horsepower. I don't need to say anything else. And, well, we get to see if the brakes work, because I'm not going to break the law in a video. The brakes are good too. I can tell you that right now. Like, that stopped really quickly. That's impressive. Yeah, those big brakes don't just look cool. So I'm in the manual shift mode right now. Ooh, it sounds good. Yeah, those gear shifts are quick though. This 8-speed's really quick with the gear shifts. So just like doing, I guess, like what I would consider like a normal acceleration, the gear shifts are really quick going through the gears. So when you're not really on it too hard, it's still just like, it goes through them really quickly, and it feels really nice. And just the actuation on these paddles is really nice. Like, they have this nice premium feel. Like, it doesn't have that like nasty, like plasticky clicking sound. If you guys remember from my Camaro ZL1 video, you could hear it in the video. This doesn't have that same sound. And, well, yes, we are going to get our highway acceleration here. Woo! That was crazy. So it's quick, and I think the thing that's even funnier is the stability control light was just flashing for a moment there. So yeah, that just tells you how much power this is putting through. It's quick, it's fun. So like, if you want like a quick fun SUV, this definitely checks that box. So we're coming up here. I do want to get a couple downshifts, see how those go. Yeah, it's really responsive on the downshifts as well. Yeah, if you get on the throttle even a little bit, this thing just hauls. And I mean, I was expecting that. Again, 518 horsepower. Even though this is like a bigger sized SUV, it's fast. It is really fast. We've got a little bit of a traffic here, but we'll get another kind of like little acceleration. Whew, yeah, it sounds good. It sounds really good. Like, it's just from like an engine, it just has like this nice like deep V8 rumble. It's not like overly obnoxious. And so if you kind of want just like a nice like deep characterful, I can't talk, but you know what I mean, like just a nice deep sound, this definitely has that. Now let's get into summing things up here with the Range Rover Sport. and really where this stands. So if you want just, again, a really nice luxury SUV, but you want something that actually has some power, that has some get up and go, that's fun to drive and just gets you excited, right? This has that like just excitement about it, but it also has this just nice like comfort about it. Like, again, if I just put it back into the normal mode and just, again, drive it like a normal person, it's just like this nice, comfortable SUV. And just, I don't know how, like, it's so good at what it does. Like, again, it can be this crazy performance SUV, but then also it can be this nice, like, comfortable SUV. And I know I'm saying that a lot, but it's just, it's really solid. It's one of those vehicles that, even though, yeah, 6 figures is a lot of money for a vehicle, but you're not just getting an SUV and you're not just getting like basically a performance car, you're getting both. And so I feel like this is a really good value. It comes with a lot of fun tech, and yeah, if you're in the market for a fun performance SUV that also just has this like nice, big, substantial feel, check out the Range Rover Sport. That is gonna sum things up for our video on the 2020 Range Rover Sport HSE Dynamic. Again, a huge shout and thank you to the Range Rover here in downtown Salt Lake for providing us with this Range Rover Sport. Check out the inventory link below if you're in the market for a new Range Rover, Jaguar, also a pre-owned one as well. I will see all of you in that next video.